Hey there, David Duford at davidduford.com, where I coach, train, and recruit agents to become top producing professionals in products like final expense annuities and other wonderful insurance products. Thank you for joining me. Today's topic is particularly important, and it's something that I've been working on in thought process and how to deliver this to you really over the past year. It is late 2019 when I'm filming this video. You're seeing this in 2020. And I've had the wonderful blessings of a fantastic career in the insurance business that's been, for the most part, except for that first year when I failed out, upward and mobile in the upward direction. I've been a personal producer, still do personally produce, and I've had the benefit of building an agency over the past 5.5 years. I've seen agents who have massively achieved great success. I've seen people exit this business as failures. And I think a lot of what I've been able to procure from this business is hopefully a bit of a perspective. I'm not an old wise agent or agency owner yet, but I think I've seen some things that I would like to convey to you to help you to become more successful in this business. And one of those things is having and developing a long-term commitment and strategy that will bring you to a point, I think, to where your income ultimately will be passive. This is the big thing I'm going to be talking about in my content and videos and podcasts and everything else that I do, is the important to think long term and the important to transition your income, if not completely, at least partially, from entirely actively based, meaning you got to go kill it to eat it, to a passive based system to where you make money without having to do anything because you did all the work up front. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm at the point in my career, 5.5 years, and I'm not bragging. Please don't take that as that way. But most of my money, I don't have to go sell a thing for. I got agents that work for me. I've made renewals for a long time that I get paid on, and I'm at the point in my career where I make enough money to do the things in my life that I like to do without having to go sell. It's wonderful, and I want to share how awesome it is with you, because it is something that is achievable whether you want to build an agency or you just want to personally produce by yourself, but focus your efforts on transitioning from an active base income to a passive base income. And I feel like I'm at the point in my career where I can competently do that without sounding like a fool trying to make things up, because I've experienced both sides of the coin. It's been like this for me for about 1.5 to 2 years now. And I feel like I can give you some guidance to make that transition. So I've got 3 points here I'm going to talk about when it comes to a 5-year business plan and kind of crafting some fundamentals here on how to make this happen, because I think the big thing that a lot of people stumble on in this respect is how do you make this happen, and what course and progression can one follow to get to this point. And I think there's one strategy that's discussed, but the problem is that it's more difficult to do simply because of the economic realities that many people face getting into the insurance business. I can remember when I started selling insurance, I owed probably like $25,000 or $30,000 in credit card debt based off of my last business that was kind of failing. And then the other one, like 50 grand in car debt, that I had to pay off. So, it's like I just didn't have money laying around, and I couldn't get involved in a renewal-based strategy right away. I had to make money yesterday. So that kind of experience is what most agents I have found seem to be going through as well. And so my suggestions, my strategies, my wisdom here, I guess, is based off of that reality, is how can we get to a point in the insurance business where we're making money consistently by active efforts? And then once we kind of know what we're doing, what steps can we take to transition to a passive base income? And what stages should we be looking to do that? So I think the first thing you need to do in developing a business plan, and again, this is really for if you're new to the business or if you're experienced. So some of this may be less relevant, but important to consider. I believe the best thing you can do coming into this business is have a core product that you want to focus on, okay? So core product could also mean a core marketplace. Maybe there are two separate things that are important. Like for me and what I teach, I love the senior market. I love old people. They provide me an opportunity to train agents on different sales and marketing systems that can help solve their multitude of insurance-based problems, such as paying for final expenses, having peace of mind, or getting quality Medicare coverage with a Medicare Advantage or supplement, or ensuring they don't outlive their money with a annuity type of product. So there's a market that I focus on. The one product I started with was final expense. Why? Because it was a predominantly first-year income-based product, meaning I get most of my money quickly, and I didn't have to stand around and wait a couple of months to get paid. So there wasn't a long sales cycle. It was one call close. And it allowed me to get up and running fast, and was largely an activity-based business. And I liked that. I thought that was very appealing. So for me, I think the best thing for agents, especially those who are in a position where they're struggling financially and they can't wait to get paid, is to consider a product that is like or is final expense, because it's going to allow you, if you have the whereabouts to be active and like apply what you're taught, you can start making money quickly with final expense and get up to a regular routine of consistency in production, thus a consistency in income. I think it's really important that before you start changing anything, you should be committed to that particular product, market, whatever, for at least a year. There is learning and lessons that I can't convey on video. I try to, but there's a lot of things that I do and things that I teach that the only reason I know about it is because of just self-discovery and experience, seeing more than 3,000 presentations. And part of your learning and improvement in your craft will only come from hundreds of presentations in your first year that you need to complete. So it's important to understand that you need to give yourself that amount of time before you start thinking about how you're going to change things up. So what do you do when you're a year into this 5-year strategy of going from active to passive income? I think the best thing you need to do is consider 2 different routes you want to go down. And I'll tell you what mine are too in a moment. But I believe you need to consider cross-selling a renewal-based product, or to the same market ideally, or you need to consider building an agency. I think you can accomplish the dream of passive income through either method. So let's talk about both. Most of you out there probably don't like the idea of the adult babysitting business, otherwise known as recruiting. You're not adults or you're not babies if you work with me. Don't worry about it. I don't treat it like that. I only joke. But anyways, the adult babysitting business, I say tongue-in-cheek, of course, is not appealing to many producers. So that's kind of out of the window. So what do you do instead? Well, you cross-sell a renewal-based product. And it's the best thing to do is cross-sell a renewal-based product that's a perfect match for what you're already doing. So for me, because I love final expense so much, and I think it's a great product to start with, 80% of your clientele are going to have Medicare. Probably more than that, but many of them more specifically have Medicare Advantage. And many will be eligible for improvements in their Medicare coverage once you know the ins and outs of how to make it happen. So now you have this group of final expense leads you've been working that you can now start talking about Medicare. And some of them will switch plans over to you. And now you can start developing your renewal-based income. The reason it's not a 2-year strategy or 3-year strategy is because this renewal-based income is going to take you a number of years to do, in most cases. Maybe faster. It'd be great if it was faster. But my goal for my agents that want to transition from exclusively final expense to just start talking to their clients about Medicare Advantage is I want them to really do, at minimum, 500 Medicare Advantage cases, preferably 1,000. And here's why. If you write and keep 500 Medicare Advantage cases on the books, that's approximately $120,000 in income before you get out of bed income. Obviously, 1,000 is double of 500, so that's $240,000 in before you get out of bed income. These are really important numbers to hit, and they're not usually going to happen overnight, although there are going to be people who write 200 Medicare Advantage cases a year, and they can get to 1,000 in 5 years, or 500 in a year and a half or 2 years. So I'm happy to be proven wrong. But the point is that this is a process. Many people cannot give up the first-year driven income immediately. So one has to slowly transition over and build that passive income stream over the next course of a couple of years. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to go into the Medicare space, you can do what I did. You can get into the agency recruitment model. Some will like this, some won't. If you have a passion for helping people, specifically other agents, you like sales training, you like ride-alongs, you like building camaraderie in the team, this is a great opportunity for you. And what this allows you to do is, if you want to have really the best success, is to build a more local / state regional type of business model where you train agents and you take them out in the field, you coach and help them. You can build up an agency to where you're making an override. That's money that you make off of each sale that your agents make. And you can develop, especially after you train these people, you can develop an income that comes in without you having to lord over somebody to make it happen. I would call this more of a semi-passive type of income, but it's more passive than actively selling final expense, let's say in this example, and instead having people sell them for you. It took me 4-ish years before my income to survive and thrive was really all passive income based. So again, there's something that doesn't happen overnight. If you go into the recruitment business, the big difference in recruiting is that it's more of a numbers game, I think, than selling insurance. And you just got to sift through the people out there to find the people who are the best fit for your organization, and then do whatever it takes to help them succeed. Some, like my friend Stanley, has a small team. Half of his agents are still producing. He's only recruited like a little more than a dozen, and he's got solid. He's $1 million+ agency off of a half dozen agents, and that includes his production. But he's done a really good job of training and retaining talent, and that's the perfect model for what you guys should think about. And that taken him about 3 years to do so. So he's done very, very, very well. Number 3 point here is that, again, my goal for you guys is to, again, keep this simple. You don't need to sell a bunch of different products. You need one that comes out of the gate that's a good first-year driven product, at least for most of us who've got to have bills paid and make money fast. And then you've got to start actively thinking and eventually picking up products that match that marketplace that you can cross-sell coverage to without changing your lead system or doing too much differently. You don't want to deviate too much from what you're doing just because you want to leverage your knowledge base and your capabilities and just add another product that is a good appeal to them. And in this case, what I teach is first final expense than Medicare Advantage. And then just stick to it. It's no more complicated than that. I have been doing recruiting since 2013 and 14. It's late 2019, the recording of this. I do the same things over and over every day. I have scheduled calls with agents. I essentially pre-qualify them. They pre-qualify me in a sense, and we figure out if we're a good match. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agents to just work at getting that core group. That's a much lower number than the hundreds of hundreds, by the way, because it is a numbers game. To get to this point. I haven't done anything dramatically different. It essentially is a marketing-based business. Talk to as many agents as you can. Help those out that will be a best fit for your organization. And just stay committed, just like it is with producing. Just see the people and sell. And stay committed. Don't start getting too fancy, getting outside of this realm of the basic business plan that you set, which is just a commitment to transferring to passive income. But my point in saying all this is that to kind of conclude here, for those of you out there who are writing a product that's first year driven, and that it requires the hamster wheel, as Christopher Westphal will say, selling Medicare. And for those of you getting started in this business, look, I know it's important to make money right now, and it is. That's where your focus should be. But you should also, in the same breath, be thinking, how am I going to transition to a passive-based income? I can tell you, when I started my agency, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep agents. I was just thinking, well, I'll train them and let them go. I don't have to micromanage. I don't want to do with management and all that stuff. But I've discovered that it's actually enjoyable to me. And I thought I would be producing 5-6 days a week like I was back when I was like 30. But now, 4 kids later and making a substantial income from passive activity, I don't need to. The desire to produce full-time is just not there with me, and I can spend more time with my family. I can do things like jiu-jitsu that I couldn't do all those years getting up and running and getting geared up, and have the kind of leisurely pursuits that I have now. And I want you to have that option because, being in a grind, it's great. There's kind of like a There's an element to it that's romantic, but you also want to have the option, if anything else, so that you can pull back. You can go on a long vacation. You can spend time with the people you love. And part of doing that is by developing a passive income strategy that isn't necessarily immediate, but has its roots in a long-term strategy to get you there. Because we have to get you stable on your income first, right? And then once you know the product and you know the market, it's a lot easier to start cross-selling then. And slowly but surely building yourself up to where you can experience the same things that I'm doing, which is wonderful. And if you like this, if this is something that's appealing to you, if you'd like me to show you more, it's very simple to learn more. Go to daviddufour.com, click Join Dave's Agency, so you can see how I do final expense, Medicare, and basically have the synthesis of these two to develop the strategy I'm speaking about. And if you're interested in recruiting people, you want to build your own agency, I teach agents how to do that. You work with my agency, but I'll give you all the tools and tactics and me personally helping you build your own brand just like I have, to where you can build a great agency in your own image and experience the wonders of having a passive income and having an asset that will provide for your family indefinitely. David Dufour is my name. daviddufour.com is the website. Thanks for watching. See ya.